I have one question, and I don't want to sound too stupid here. If you were a merchant that was incorporating this software for receiving micropayments, what would the IRS implication be?
Yeah, I love those kinds of disruptions. The IRS in particular has a $600 threshold before any of that income has to be reported. Above that, we'll wind up sending you a report at the end of the year that showed that you made that income.
So everyone, who here has used ChangeTip before? A lot of people. If you haven't, it is really, really easy to set up. You can honestly already start just by going onto Twitter. Just type the Twitter handle of the person you want to send the money to, hashtag CC 2015, and then make sure that ChangeTip is also in there as well. And money will be sent. So I would really encourage everyone to get on that, because as I said, any tips that you give to people here at the conference, it will be matched by ChangeTip, and it will be given to Sean Staff, who's a wonderful course. Next up, we have Jeremy Gardner from Augur. Augur is really exciting because it is the world's first peer-to-peer prediction market platform. So I'm excited to have him up here. Is he around somewhere? Oh, he's being mic'd up. So Jeremy, I mean, he's an incredibly impressive person. He actually, before entering his senior year, he left school to found Augur. So it's very exciting. Please come up. It's really wonderful.
Alright, I'm going to be talking today about putting our money where our mouths are. Augur is a decentralized, peer-to-peer prediction market platform. What Augur enables is for anyone to take any event that will occur in the future with a determinable outcome and to make a market for it. Say, Hillary Clinton will be elected president, yes or no. When that happens, people can buy and sell shares in the outcome of that event. The price per share fluctuates between a penny and a dollar, depending on how many shares are being bought of each side. The price changes. So let's say more people believe Hillary Clinton will be elected president, then you get maybe 60 cents a share for yes, conversely 40 cents a share for no. In a voluminous and liquid market, you can interpret that price per share as the probability of the event occurring, as a rational actor of the system will buy shares in the other direction if they believe that event won't happen or will. But what this means, the implications of this, is that we can now tap into the collective consciousness of humanity. We can now, anyone in the world, can posit a question to millions of people around the world, anyone with an internet connection. People can now put their money where their mouth is and say what they think about a situation. Not just talk about it, but actually put their money down and give their collective opinion. And we can actually aggregate what people believe, not just what they say. Importantly, you can use a technology like this to empower people that otherwise wouldn't be enfranchised. So you can look at, right now, we've got the crop insurance around the world. In many areas of the world, there is no crop insurance. That means if you're a farmer and you want to plant your crops for the next season and there's a drought, you lose everything. With Augur, you can create a market, or I can create a market and say, hey, this valley in Argentina will have more than 500 millimeters of water rain next year. And a farmer in Argentina can buy shares saying, no, that won't happen, to hedge against their crops. It's incredibly empowering. When you look at something like the presidential elections, where Trump is leading the polls, yet almost any pundit will tell you he really has no probability of winning the election, you can look at this economist chart where Trump's clearly winning in these polls, but then if you look at the prediction markets, which Augur is, Jeb Bush is a clear leader. When people put their money where their mouth is, we get a much better sense of what's going to happen. And we need a system that is global to really aggregate what people believe. If you're a venture capitalist and you'd like to invest in a company, typically you just go to your general partners and you talk to them about whether you think this company is fungible and whether you think people will actually adopt this technology. Now with Augur, you can literally just put out in a market, you think Pied Piper is going to be successful, put in some information about this company. And people from around the world can now look at this company and say, is this company going to be successful? If more people say the company is going to be successful, the venture capitalists can now just go fund that company, rewarding those that gave them a good education. Otherwise, they reward the people that told them not to fund the company because more people did that. But it's a great way of gauging your audience. So how does it work? Augur is totally decentralized. It's peer-to-peer. It runs on Ethereum's blockchain. But we create a user interface that's like anything you see on the web. Very intuitive, with a variety of markets that anybody can create, anybody can bet on. So you go, you send money to Augur, and this is on the blockchain, we'll never hold your funds. And you can bet on the outcome of any event. You buy shares, yes or no. You can sell them at any point in the life of a market. Importantly, anybody can create a market. So, like I said, you can create a hedge for crops in Argentina. Or you can talk about the Super Bowl. Well, not if you're in the U.S. But anybody can create this market. You set the trading fee of which you receive half. And then you set the initial liquidity, because keep in mind, in a decentralized system, anybody can create a market that competes with yours. So you're going to want to set your trading fees low, liquidity high, incentivize people to use your market over others. I think as Augur gets bigger, it's going to be more institutional market makers that are participating, but in more niche markets, your average consumer can create a market. Then you submit the expiration date for when you want the market to close, and then you submit it as a hash, and anybody in the world can now participate in this prediction market that you've created. In order to make this whole system work, though, decentralized peer-to-peer, you have to have a way to achieve consensus to say whether an event happened or not. The problem with this is that traditionally you would rely on a third-party API or a single individual to say whether an event happened. That constitutes a single point of failure, which in a decentralized system you simply can't have. So instead, we have a token. That token is called reputation. And you can think of it not like a cryptocurrency, but really as a score addressed to your private address, to your wallet. And that score, that reputation you have, allows you to report on the outcome of events. Now, you don't need to have reputation to use the system, but in order for us to have a distributed consensus, where every 8 weeks people report on what happened in the past 8 weeks, you have this token. And the way we do it is that we have 11 million tokens. They'll be fully distributed at the end of our 45-day crowd sale, which begins on Monday, actually. And this token, the reason why you hold it, is it rewards you. So for maintaining our system, you receive half of the trading fees that have been collected throughout the course of the past 8 weeks. And this is distributed based off of how many reputation tokens you hold. Now what's really cool about reputation is that it's perhaps the most meritocratic system in the entire crypto ecosystem. Because if you're dishonest in reporting about what happened, or you fail to report, you lose your reputation. And it's redistributed to those that were honest and reported regularly. It incentivizes people to maintain the system and to constantly participate. Reporting is pretty intuitive. It's yes, no, an event occurred. In the case that the event is ambiguous, indeterminate, unethical, poorly worded, you can put down 0.5, which is right in the middle. This will happen more at the beginning when people are creating markets that don't really make sense. But as they realize that they're losing money from making bad markets, then this will be less of an option. If you think about reputation in terms of the economics, as people often ask me to do, you can think of the global peer-to-peer betting market industry, $3 trillion. If Augur captures 0.3 of the global peer-to-peer betting market, which is $10 billion, by 2018, the average trading fee on buy and sell orders is 1%. Keep in mind, it's about 10% of most online sports betting groups. And you spend an hour reporting honestly and regularly on the outcome of events every year, which is about 6 times a year. And you bought 1% of all reputation this sale. you're bringing in $500,000 a year. Now, that's a good job reporting on the outcomes. And it's what makes this system really exciting, because it's a full loop incentive system where every step of the way, whether you're betting, whether you're market making, or whether you're reporting on the outcome of events, you're rewarded for making this system work. The applications of this software are absolutely endless. Every time I give a talk, someone posits something new. But all I can say is that it's really exciting. We have a booth, so come learn more about it later today. Thank you.
And you said earlier to me today that you're an expert in the legal side of things. So can you talk us through how you managed to run all that?
Sure. So my team calls me JG Esquire because I do all of our in-house legal research. But pretty much the way we look at it is that software code, as ruled in Joker versus Daly and every case since, which was in the 1990s, is computer software code is free speech. Now, if you profit from illegal uses of that software, then you get yourself in trouble. But as long as there's no direct profit from the kind of creation of the software or the selling of the software, which we're really not doing, we're selling this token which maintains the system, we're not really legally culpable for the way that the software is used because it's an open source software platform. It's just like Gmail is not sued every time someone uses Gmail for blackmail, or BitTorrent every time someone downloads child pornography. You know, we're creating the platform that people use, and we hope they use it legally. But at the end of the day, we have no control over the system. We have no ownership. We can't censor it, and we don't have any direct revenue stream.
Would you say that there's a difference between the letter of the law and the spirit of the law? Now, I understand that the letter of the law, Augur, is totally fine, but the US government isn't exactly renowned for just going by the letter of the law in making their judgments. So have you factored that in?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're already in conversations with regulatory agencies. We know all the three-letter agencies that we need to be speaking to, and we've got a great legal team, best legal professionals and scholars thinking about this sort of technology. So, you know, we're kind of taking the precautions necessary to move forward. So I like America, I don't have to leave.
Yeah, me too. So yeah, thank you so much. Does anyone else have any questions? Yeah.
Jeremy, on the crowd sale, what platform did you choose and why did you select that one?
So we were using Coinify, but then they were a decentralized application crowdfunding platform. And then they kind of realized that decentralized applications, there are not that many that are to be built in the near future, and so there are not that many crowdfunding campaigns to do. So they realized that they didn't really have a workable business model, and this was like a few months before our sale. So they kind of bailed on us, which was fine. But we decided that since really we hadn't been impressed with any of the crowdfunding platforms that have been built so far, that we would just build it ourselves. I mean, if we can build a decentralized prediction market, we can build a crowdfunding platform.
Like are you using a matching point or counterparty?
So we'll always have everything. I mean, the primary tokens we're actually holding are Bitcoin and Ether, but we're integrated with Shapeshift, so any coin that works in Shapeshift we'll accept. And if there's a coin that Shapeshift doesn't accept, you can talk to me after and we can maybe work it out. Bernie Sanders. No, I'm not going to speculate on now, but it's all irrational actors in the market. But as long as there's one rational actor that's looking like, I mean, the Republicans can't win at this point, but they're driving themselves too far right. But we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll convince someone and go for them and have to.
Do you see a selection bias with the election bidding? You know, you have a lot of people voting for Gary Johnson because they're familiar with the tech space.
Well, so it's funny. I mean, on Augur in our sample markets very early on, every time I would go on to Augur Alpha, Rand Paul would have 100% likelihood of winning the presidential election. I was like, all right, this is a bad sample size. But once you get people putting their money where their mouth is, you can have all the irrational actors in the market, but as long as there's one rational actor that's trying to make money, you're always going to drive the price to what should be near the probability. And as we've seen even in low liquidity prediction markets in the past, they tend to be far more accurate than their portfolio.
We have time for one more question.
I'm assuming you can buy and sell the rep tokens once they're distributed.
Yeah, sure.
So I assume that, because I mean the $500,000 figure seems very optimistic.
Well, it's just so you, all right, so you think
So
about,
I suspect you
all right, so you're thinking about all the platforms. I mean, you look at global derivative, $600 trillion. Global stock market is $27 trillion. Global sports betting, which only 1% of it is online, is $3 trillion. Look at all those industries, which you can all put on top of the platform, on top of the Augur platform, and the idea that we can't capture a tiny little fraction of each of those, especially something like sports betting, which obviously I'm not encouraging in the US, but which will obviously take place on the platform. You know, it's hard to imagine there won't be a large amount of money if Augur achieves even a modicum of success.
Thank you so much. Jeremy Gardner from Augur, the world's first peer-to-peer application.